and welcome to The Cosmic Nomad. I'm your host, Bailey Rushlow, and this is a space for the curious and the heart-led, where we explore the human experience through travel, nature, spirituality, and real-life transformation through beautiful conversations. As I discover my way of living what I call an inspired life, I share the practices, stories, and perspectives that have helped guide me back to myself. In today's episode, we are exploring what it means to move from renting your life to owning it. It's not about hustle or perfection, it's about presence. And this is for anyone who has played small, who has been waiting for permission. And I'm super stoked about this because this concept of renting your life versus owning it, I just rediscovered in a journal entry from 2020. I've been going back through my journals because I've journaled my whole life, and it's like they are time capsules and little portals that I can visit those versions of myself through. It's really cool, especially because I don't only write words in my journals, I also post, paste, tape, whatever, things into the pages. So I have leaves and flowers and random bookmarks and stickers and notes from strangers and places I've been and photos of random stuff, Polaroids. I mean, it's like it is a full treasure trove of my life. And I have just recently been uploading them to a document that I can have them all saved in a digital format, because right now they're all handwritten, which I love, and a digital version will never compete with the written version. But if anything ever happened to the written version, I'd be so sad that I didn't have a copy. So I've been taking the last 6 months or so and going through slowly. And I just came to my 2020 journal. I read through 2017, 18, 19, now I'm in 20. And oh my God, what a year. I've been going through all of the things that woke me up to my life. Some of them were books, some of them were poetry, some of them were people, conversations, relationships, friends, heartbreak. There's so many things that brought me to a deeper level within myself in 2020. And I think I am not alone in that, because this era of the pandemic brought us closer to ourselves because we weren't so busy. We weren't so focused on rushing around. We actually couldn't rush around. And we saw the effects of that, both good and bad. And I think this brought me to an interesting place in my life because I was in therapy. And I remember my sweet therapist, Beth, she was like, Bailey, tell me the difference between renting a place and owning a place. I was like, I've done neither one, so I have no idea. I've only lived with family until that point. And she was like, okay, so when you rent a place, typically, you don't really paint the walls, you don't hang things, you don't put holes in the walls, you just live there temporarily, and then you take all your stuff out and you move somewhere else. And I was like, okay, interesting. She goes, when you own a place, you live there fully. You paint the walls. You put holes in the walls and you hang all of your art and all of your favorite stuff. You build the bookshelf. You fill it with your favorite books. You color coordinate them, right? It's like so many things that you do when you own a place. You really invest in it. I will say that I have only ever rented places and I have always made them my own. So there's nothing against that. However, for the metaphor, for the sake of the metaphor, she has a point. And it's interesting because so many of us treat our lives like a rental. We don't get too attached. We don't fully invest. Versus if we treated life like something that we owned, like a home that we were, fully embodying, we would invest in it, we would personalize it, we would take pride in it. So what would change if you treated your life like something that you own? This really got me thinking this week. And I'm glad we're having a conversation about it, because there are definite signs that you might be renting your life. Now, these could be different for you, and maybe you don't resonate with all of them, but maybe you resonate with a few, because these are the ones that I really connected with. Waiting for permission to take up space. I mean, I think all of us could raise our hands with that one, because we've been conditioned by a society to play small, to stay in our lane, to be in our box. And when we get out of that, we piss people off. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But okay, back to the signs. Keeping things neutral or safe or inoffensive. It's like a beige wall in a rental. It's rented. You know what I mean? When you put your joy off until it feels allowed or justified, when we're not investing in long-term dreams because they might not work out, or on the flip side, we are living for someday. Someday I'll make that happen, right? That's not investing in our lives as a living, breathing organism of embodiment. And you might think like, okay, what's the big deal if I just want to coast through? Like, what's wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with that. That's your choice. Completely your choice. You have free will. However, you have the opportunity to be here in this body, on this earth, in this incredible journey that is so hard and so beautiful all at once. The dichotomy of that, the opportunity for evolution, the opportunity for education, that you are here now. I don't know, I just don't believe that that's a mistake or a coincidence. So if this is true, then why not go all out? You know? Because there is a cost to living a rented life. And it looks like being in survival and not in expression, being disconnected from yourself, a lack of meaning, feeling like you're just passing through, like you're living on autopilot, like the script has already been written and you're just following through the motions. That cost, that's way too expensive for me. And it's also important to look at the ancestral and cultural programming that goes along with this conversation. Because, I mean, how many of us come from lineages of survival where renting your life, metaphorically, was much safer than actually living it? Many of our ancestors were not allowed to fully own their life. It wasn't an option for them because they were stuck in survival mode. They were stuck in systems of oppression. They were stuck in systems of racial inequality. They were stuck in systems of religious bigotry. They were stuck in systems of gender inequality. I mean, so they didn't always have not only the privilege, but the opportunity or the chance to live in a life that they could own and embody. And we carry so much of that epigenetically within us. So choosing to live a life that we own, that we are unapologetic for, can feel really unsettling sometimes. We've talked about epigenetics previously, so hopefully you have a deeper understanding that that can be changed. Our DNA can be changed. It's incredible. So there can actually be a lot of healing that comes when we can name the emotional inheritance that we are breaking when we choose ourselves. So, for example, maybe you didn't talk about feelings as a family or in your lineage. Maybe they just swallowed them up, right? Maybe there was silence around things like sexuality. Maybe joy was seen as a luxury and survival was the goal, because that's the truth for so many of our ancestors, right? Also that anger was a dangerous thing. So we did not talk about anger. We did not connect with anger. Or maybe you learned that love had to be earned, that you had to prove your worth. Or that rest was considered laziness. Or maybe you watched women in your family constantly pour from an empty cup. These are all pretty generic, but I think also very specific in the sense that we can all relate, and this pattern lives within us. We all collectively have to break out of, because it's not just an ancestral thing, it's a collective mindset. And when you see someone outside of this like matrix of all these things that I just said that normally keep us feeling pretty small or pretty contained, whether that's ancestrally or culturally or collectively, whatever, you see someone outside of it and they're shining, they are glowing, they're sharing their life, their expression, their fullness, their art, and typically that creates this little jealous monster inside that manifests as either hatred toward them, disdain toward them, how dare this person show up in their fullness. And so often it is a reflection of us wanting to be able to do the same. Not always. There are always exceptions to the rule. But typically, when something makes us feel that way, it's a mix of things. Sometimes for me, it feels a little bit like jealousy, but it's also like massive admiration and a little bit of shame, because I wish I could do that too, and I'm not. And maybe it comes easier for them, or maybe I'm just not talented enough, or, then your mind kind of starts to wander with that, and then you just end up right back where you were in your renting situation. And I just want to tell you that there is so much power in saying, I get to own this life now. I get to paint the walls. You can paint them any color you want to. I support you. So, okay, how do we then shift into ownership? There's a few questions we can ask ourselves with this. One is, what part of me still thinks that this is temporary? And I just continue going through the motions and choosing people and relationships and dynamics and environments that might not be the most beneficial for me or suitable for me, or to make me feel like I'm living an inspired life. An inspired life, I know I explained this, maybe the first episode, I don't know. It means to live a life connected in spirit. Inspired is in spirit when you break it down. So to live an inspired life means to live a life connected to your essence, to your soul. I have this tattoo on my arm that says meraki, and it's a Greek word that means two things. One is to live your life with soul, passion, and love. And the second meaning is to leave a piece of yourself in everything that you do. This is like a life motto for me. And I can't tell you how much it has helped me remember that I'm not here to live a rented life. Several years ago, I was given the opportunity and the privilege to sit with the grandmother of plant medicine, ayahuasca. I was in the jungle on a full moon on the spring equinox, and it was 2022, the first time that I sat. And wow, what a powerful experience. Maybe I'll do another episode just about psychedelic experiences, because I've had some wild ones. But this was one of my favorites, and I'll just tell a small portion of it because it relates to the story. But in my journey, my grandmother appeared to me. Pretty cool that my grandma showed up while sitting with the grandmother. And she offered me the most beautiful, heartfelt apology that I've ever received, saying, I'm sorry that I couldn't have done things different. I did the best that I could with what I had. But I implore you to go and to live fully. To say the things that I didn't get to say, to do the things that I didn't get to do, and to make a splash with your life. I'll never forget those words. And I felt like that was the consent from my lineage being like, dude, you have to go. You have to do the things. You have to see all the places. You have to love all the people. You have to fully embody this experience, because this is all there is. In this moment, right now, this is all there is. I believe there are so many dimensions and so many things. I'm not even going to get into that. But I don't think that this is all there is. But I think right now, this is all there is. And in this moment, it's all that matters, you know? And we have, 100 years or so on this planet? I mean, maybe more with, the way things are going with technology. I wouldn't be surprised if we all could live long lives again, because we once did on this planet. Sometimes we forget that, but people actually lived for thousands of years, like documented, like it's been written down. So I extend this loving and inspiring message from my grandmother to you. And I ask you, how can you personalize your space where you live, your environment? Even just one small thing. What's something that you could do? How can you start that dream project you've been wanting? Have you been wanting to write a poetry book? Maybe you wanted to do a screenplay. Maybe there's an incredible art project you've always wanted to start, but you're nervous to do it. My grandma said go make a splash with your life, so I think you need to go do that too. We have to stop waiting for a sign that it's safe to care. It's safe to do the things we want. Don't be ashamed of them. They're beautiful. They're desires in your heart for a reason. They are not accidental. Maybe you could write a mission statement for your life. Even if it changes later, write it down. Who are you? Tell the universe who you are. Tell the universe what you want to do, what you're going to do, what you are doing. See what happens. I have some really great examples prepared for ways that we continue to rent that we don't need to do anymore. No longer outsourcing your decisions to friends or parents or mentors, but trusting yourself to know what to do next. I'm all for asking for advice, but there does come a time when outsourcing to everyone else can actually inhibit your ability to listen to your intuition. Maybe you want to finally take that course or start that side project or record that music or apply for that visa, right? Steps that are creating freedom in our lives. Creating routine that honors your rhythms and not someone else's 9-to-5 calendar or productivity rules. Saying, I don't actually like that. And letting that be enough reason not to keep doing it. You don't have to explain yourself for 20 minutes. You really don't. You don't owe it to anyone. Letting go of the relationship that only fits when you shrink to make it work. Let that shit go. That's a rental. That's a rental. Book that solo trip. Plant the garden. Move to that random country that calls to you without needing to explain it to anyone. Invest in your own comfort and pleasure, not just your survival. Put your art on the walls, and not just what you think will match the aesthetic. Put it all up there, anything that makes you happy. Refusal to walk on eggshells, even in your own mind, which means no more people-pleasing or perfectionism or internal censorship. Ooh, that's a hard one. Such a hard one. Oh, defining success and happiness for yourself and not how you were taught to measure them. Wow. allowing your sexuality to be real, even if no one else sees it or it doesn't look like how they expect. I want to talk about people pleasing for a second, especially inside the dynamics that have been dysfunctional for a long time. You know the ones. Maybe it's with a friend that you've known since, high school. Maybe it's a sibling, a parent, a partner. Maybe where your roles are so deeply ingrained that your nervous system just goes on autopilot the second that they need something. And suddenly you're back in that old version of yourself. You're agreeable, you're accommodating, and self-abandoning. Because deep down, there is a story playing out that says, if I don't stay, if I don't fix it, if I don't show up, then everything will fall apart. And maybe you were the one who had to hold it all together. Maybe no one else did. Maybe they still don't. But please hear me when I say that it's not your job to keep the dysfunction functioning. Your silence is not saving anyone. Your exhaustion is not a requirement. And your peace is not the collateral. Because walking on eggshells to maintain the illusion of peace is not really peace. It's just self-erasure. And I get it. The thought of stepping back, stepping away, ending the cycle, it can feel like betrayal. But what if it's not? What if it's actually the most honest thing that you could do? Because every time you choose to center yourself and tend to your own needs and to stop shape-shifting for someone else's comfort, you are breaking the cycle. You are rewriting the code. And that is what owning your life really looks like. Because the idea of, quote, people-pleasing sounds, I don't know, kind of fun, kind of flirty, kind of, oh, I'm a people pleaser, but when we reframe it to actually this is self-abandonment, it doesn't sound so sexy. It doesn't sound so aesthetic. It sounds like a rental, right? Statistically speaking, they say that people who are approaching the transition of death, that they are often more concerned with the things they didn't do, or the risks they didn't take, than the things they did do. No matter how they worked out, it's usually the things they didn't do that stand out the most. And of course, there are many reasons for these things, and I don't blame anyone. No shame here. Just conscious awareness that you do have the opportunity to be here now, to stop playing small, to stop waiting for permission, because you're not just passing through. This life is yours. You don't need a lease to start living like you belong here. You belong here. You belong in this life. You belong to this life. This life belongs to you. Create a lovership with it that makes you feel inspired. And one of the greatest perks to that, to living an inspired life, is that everyone who watches you gets handed a permission slip to be more themselves too. My best friend gave me the most beautiful compliment the other day that I think I've ever gotten. She said, Bailey, your life is like a giant permission slip to anyone watching. That makes me want to cry. Oh, it's so beautiful. Because that is my intention. I want you to see me living fully, joyfully, messing up terribly, having wonderful mistakes and happy accidents, in the words of Bob Ross. And I don't want anyone to be able to say she didn't really live. Not that it matters what anyone would say. That's not why I'm doing anything in my life. However, I do think about that. I think about my eulogy, although I won't be having a traditional funeral. I do think about that, like, what would people say about me? Not in a, what will they think and will they like me kind of way, but how will I be remembered? Will I be remembered as the person that had to earn joy? Would I be remembered as a person that suppressed her feelings? Would I be remembered as a person that was unreliable or constantly available to everyone and everyone's needs? Putting my own aside, being seen as so selfless. I really hope not. I hope that people remember me someday as a colorful person that was vibrant, that was fully alive, with this unquenchable thirst for life, traveling and nurturing her dreams and passions, who always stopped to notice the magic in the mundane, who painted the walls of her life so many beautiful colors, who had the opportunity to love beautiful women and wonderful men, and always gave people permission to be more themselves, because at the end of the day, people don't remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel. And just a quick pause to share something really special. I am reopening my Patreon this month, which feels like a full circle moment because Patreon was actually the first platform I ever used as a creator back when I was just starting to share my music and build something on my own. And now I'm returning to it with a whole new energy, more intentional, more me. And if you've never heard of it, Patreon is a membership-based space where you can support the creators that you love and receive exclusive content in return. So on my Patreon, I'll be sharing monthly guided meditations, private podcast-style voice notes, and behind-the-scenes glimpses into my creative world that I'm not sharing anywhere else. So there are different tiers depending on what feels right for you. And it's honestly such a fun way to stay connected and help support this podcast and my work as an independent artist. So if that feels like something you'd like to be a part of, please check it out at patreon.com/BaileyNRushlow. You can also find the link down below. I really love to see you there. Okay. There's a really cool story that I want to tell you. It involves monkeys. Okay, so random, but I promise it ties in. There were researchers studying monkeys on a remote island, and they were noticing this one young monkey that started washing her sweet potatoes before eating them. And this had not been seen to be done typically by this species. This was a totally new thing, okay? A few others started picking it up, and over time, more and more monkeys in her community started doing the same thing. And here's where it gets interesting, okay? So once a certain number of monkeys, say 100 monkeys, adopts the habit, something shifts. Monkeys on completely different islands who had never met or interacted with this original group also began washing their fruit without any direct contact. Like, no one told them to, they knew. And this is the ripple of what we call the field, right? It's the collective consciousness in action. When enough of us shift a pattern, we change the whole. So if you're healing and you're choosing rest instead of hustle, you're saying no instead of abandoning yourself for others, maybe you're finally listening to that truth inside of you, you might not see the ripple yet, but it's there. And you doing life differently is not just for you. You are like the monkey with the sweet potato. And someone that you'll never meet is already feeling the shift from your conscious choices. That is incredible, because not only are you giving a permission slip to the people watching, you're giving a permission slip to people who will never get to watch you, who will never see you, who might not even be alive at the same time as you. You are changing consciousness permanently. And that's pretty incredible that we have the opportunity to do that. You know, maybe the life that you're building doesn't look like the one you came from. And maybe that's the point. Maybe you're here to break the patterns that were passed down, not out of malice or disdain, but survival. And now you get to choose something new. You get to choose something different. I just want to walk you through a little visualization before we move on to the rest of our day. And you can do whatever you're doing. You know, you don't have to sit and close your eyes. You can. You're welcome to close your eyes, but if you're driving, you know, please don't. Yeah, this can just be like a little meditation in your mind, okay? So take a deep breath in with me and gently let it go. Notice the parts of your body that are touching the ground or the chair, the seat, your feet, whatever it is. You're supported here. And I want you to just picture a house. This is the house of your life. It's not a house you rent. It's a house you own. The house is yours, fully, wildly, entirely. As you approach it, what does it look like? The windows, the door, the light coming through. Do you feel welcome here? Has anyone been living in this house, or has it been waiting for you? As you step inside, you look around and notice what's on the walls. Are there memories here? Joy, sadness? Is it empty? Maybe like someone never quite moved in? You walk from room to room, noticing, witnessing how much of you is here. Where are you still holding back? Now imagine you pick up a brush and you choose a color that you love and you paint one of the walls. What color is it? You're claiming this space. You are letting it know, I am not renting this life. I live here. I belong here. What would you bring into the house? Think about the flowers, the music, art, people that you love, family, lovers, partners, pets, little animal familiars, a place to rest. You don't have to fill the whole house up today. I'm just planting the seeds. And you just have to say yes to actually move in, to actually take up space. So inhale again with me. This is your life. You don't need permission to live like you belong here. You're home. This home is you. And you can carry that feeling with you as long as you need, as long as you want, as long as you can. I hope that something in this conversation reminded you that life is yours. It's not borrowed. It's not just on loan. You don't have to earn your place in it. You can start claiming it, one small act of courage at a time. So if you're still here, still listening, still feeling that quiet truth echoing somewhere inside of you, I just want you to remember this. You don't have to keep performing for love. You don't have to keep shrinking to fit a story that was written by somebody else. You don't have to keep holding the weight of what was never yours to carry. You are allowed to take your hands off the wheel of someone else's chaos. I wish someone had told me that. You are allowed to walk away from dysfunction without offering a presentation slide of your reasons. You're allowed to be the first one in your lineage that says, this ends with me. And maybe the world will not applaud when you start choosing yourself. Maybe the people who benefited from your self-abandonment will not cheer for you. But that's okay. You're not doing it to be liked. You're doing it to be free. And freedom, it starts with a small no. With a pause, with a breath, with a boundary, with truth spoken maybe quietly at first and then louder over time. Because this is what it means to live in a house that you own. To paint the walls, to hang up your joy, to plant the things that last. Because you deserve to feel at home in your life. And you can begin right now. Take another deep breath with me as we close this out. So, if you actually believed that this life was yours to shape, what would you change? I'm curious. And I will leave you with that question. Thank you so much for listening today, for being a part of this journey. And if today's episode spoke to something in you, please feel free to share it with a friend who you think would also resonate, or leave a review. It helps more than you know. And if you want to support the podcast and go deeper into the work that I'm sharing, you can now join me on Patreon. It's a really beautiful way to stay connected. So I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode. And until then, open heart, open mind, stay curious.